Hey guys, Bump here, bringing you this state of the Frost DK in the Dragonflight beta. We just got a blue post essentially saying that they kind of finished with the overall talent design. So I think this is a great opportunity to take a snapshot of the Frost DK, discuss, what does it feel like? Is it powerful? What kind of builds are they going to be? All those kind of things, Let's just jump straight into it. So first of all, I want to say that Frost DK, it plays well in Dragonflight. We got a lot of pieces back, which are like things that we've enjoyed in the past, right? We got Chill Streak, now a PvE talent. We got Frostwelf's Indignation, something that was a very popular spell from BFA, right? We got Icy Citadel also and a BFA one. Quite interesting. We also got this nice Ice Cap plus Obliteration combination, which I'm going to discuss later. So a lot of new interesting things, but let's, I think overall, I feel like Frost DKs, especially in Mythic Plus, there's kind of too much that you want to press at a give and go. Might be that I'm just not very used to it, but I don't feel like it flows as nicely as Unholy DK. I think that's my verdict. But I'm also quite biased because I love Unholy DK, so don't take that with take that with a grain of salt. First thing I want to discuss is Glacial Advance and Frost Scythe. So they've moved up quite high up in the tree recently, so they're very accessible. I want to say that Glacial Advance is very much viable, and I think we're going to see it played a lot. There's no cooldown on it now, so it can be spammed, and builds that leverage Obliteration will definitely love this spell. It applies Razorize, right? So if you're running a two-handed weapon, you can do Falling Crusader on the two-handed weapon, and then you can use Glacial Advance to apply your Razorize at the start of the pool, and they stack quite quickly. It also works very nicely in AoE because you Glacial Advance a lot. It's a very good way of spending all your runic power you generate. It's a bit odd still that Glacial Advance doesn't work with everything you would expect it to work with. For instance, Glacial Advance does not reduce Pillar Frost cooldown when you're expecting it to Ice Cap. And I think that's a major oversight because the synergy feels like it should be there. Currently now, you just, you want to press Glacial Advance, but you're kind of sad that it doesn't count towards reducing your Pillar cooldown. I don't know. It might be too powerful if it did, because, if you hit lots of targets, you have a very high probability of at least one critting. But I still feel like it should work with that. We also have our new talent, Cold-Blooded Rage, which also doesn't work with Glacial Advance. The one that procs the killing machine of Froststrike crits. Don't see why it wouldn't. Again, probably a bit powerful, but why? Why shouldn't it be powerful, When it comes to Frost Scythe, I don't see it being that valuable, even though it's very easy to pick up. The fact that we now have Avalanche giving Razorize, and we have Glacial Advance giving Razorize, for the Frost Scythe niche of kind of being our AoE Razorize spreader isn't really there, right? Also, if you compare its damage versus Obliterate, especially now when we kind of have default Obliterate cleave from our improved Definite K, when you compare Frost Scythe damage versus Oblit Cleave, Frost Scythe really doesn't, bring enough to the table. So I think, unfortunately, with the current state of things, Frost Scythe is just not viable. I think they would have to bake in like Mitre Frozen Oasis if that increased Frost Scythe damage, and if just increased the general damage of the ability, we might see it played, but currently not good enough, no. On to the next subject. We now have Ice Cap and Obliteration that can get picked up at the same time. And this is something we have wanted for a long time. It did follow along with a 2-second nerf to Ice Cap. It used to be 4 seconds. Pillar Frost cooldown reduction is only 2 whenever you get a crit. Still, picking them up, they synergize very well together. Obviously, Obliteration gives guaranteed crits, which will reduce the cooldown pillar, which gives you more Obliteration windows. And we're going to see, 45 seconds and downwards pillar cooldowns. Obviously, at start expansion, we don't have much stats, so it's going to be quite high. But as we progress, I think we're going to see really quite low pillar cooldowns overall. It's great that we have the synergy because it improves Obliteration, both in Mythic Plus, where we get more obliteration windows, but also in single targets, because that synergy is there still, and we're going to have, they synergize really well together, so I'm quite excited for that. And it makes obliteration this kind of, I don't know, we'll see. There's always going to be the discussion, right, of obliteration versus breath, and which one's better, all that kind of thing. You can see the run I'm actually having up here is obliteration that I'm playing versus this Frost DK guy that plays breath, and we have the exact same gear, so it's quite interesting to compare. You can see that overall, I think he did top damage 1 dungeon, I did top damage 2, but these heroics are just far too quick for breath to kind of get its full leverage. I think overall breath is probably going to be better, but Oblit's going to still have that 2 target cleave, really powerful niche. We'll see. Now, another topic, is two-handed obliteration going to be viable? Very difficult to say. I think gut feeling is probably yes, but I'm not sure if it's going to be that much better. Like when I tried it out, you got really big obliteration crits, and you got short obliteration windows, you got definite decay cleave going. You also have the fact that you can get racerized very easily from Glacial Advance and the Avalanche rhymes. There's a lot of things telling me that obliteration is going to be powerful, but we just know from past experiences that Breath Synergosa pretty much always finds a way to be optimal. I don't think I can say at the moment which one's going to be better, but I feel like they're both going to be viable. That's my current gut feeling. Right, so another topic I wanted to discuss now that I played a couple dungeons, it's about Chill Streak. So it's very nice to be in the tree, don't get me wrong, but I find it very difficult to actually fit into the rotation nicely. When I'm playing with obliteration, I don't want to use any other GCDs in my obliteration window, and if you start a pull fresh, you don't have the runic power to press Chill Streak. So you kind of end up going into the obliteration window, and then at the end you press Chill Streak when you really want to do it beforehand. You might want to actually build some rune power, press Chill Streak, and then go into obliteration window. That could be a possibility. But generally it was quite difficult to find the space to actually press this ability. For Breath Synergosa, obviously Chill Streak costs runic power, so it directly contradicts with what Breath wants to do. It's a nice kind of filler spell. So you use Breath every 2 minutes, and then you kind of fill in with Chill Streak when you don't have Breath. I don't know. I love that it's there, and I think it can be powerful. It just didn't feel that good to play with. Might just be my inexperience as well talking, but that's my kind of general feedback on that specific ability. Right, let's talk a little bit about talent diversity. It's come up quite a lot now with talking about obliteration, talking about Breath Synergosa, right? I think Frost in general has a ton of talent diversity. When you look at the tree, there's a lot of good stuff in there, and I feel like there are a lot of good options. When we're talking obliteration, we might go all the way into Everfrost, we might go into double Cold Heart, good 2-target cleave, we might go into Chill Streak, we might go more single target oriented. There's so many options, right? I think much more, if you compare to Unholy, I think Unholy is much more set in stone, whereas Frost, even with just obliteration build, there's lots of choice. Same thing, you can go and pull Breath Synergosa, same thing there, lots of different choices. And I think that's going to be great because it means we can kind of pick out the talents we want for a specific scenario, because we can tailor our damage profile. If we want to have a bit more 2-target cleave, a bit more heavy AoE, the options are all there, which is really good. For the class-specific tree, the options are more about utility. I think the damage spells we want to pick up are kind of set in stone. We're always going to pick Empower Rune Weapon. We're always going to pick Abomination Limb, definitely Haze, those kind of things. I'll have my build posted there. You can see what I was running, and I think that's going to be kind of set in stone when it comes to the DPS ones. Utility though, there's lots of different ones you can pick, lots of different routes, which is all good news. Now, having said that, I think the raid setup is going to be much more set in stone. Similar to Unholy, I think raid is all about what is actually the best single target setup, and there's not that much choice when it comes to kind of bigger damage profiles, different target counts, that kind of thing. It's more about I want to have the most priority damage, and that's everything. Now, I want to raise one thing here. So let's talk a little bit about the issues. So we already discussed lots of different new exacting talents, new spells, all that kind of thing. What are the issues? So I think Rune Forges is one of them. The new Avalanche, Glacial Advance, they present a very easy way to access Razorize without having to actually use a Runeforge, right? Which opens up the possibility of using another Runeforge. So if you do will, we use Fallen Crusader and something else. Now, that something else, unfortunately, isn't that great. We have Hysteria, which does synergize quite well with Breath, but Breath uptime is really quite high already, and if we add in Hysteria in that mix, we might get 2 long breaths, which will be a liability. Other than that, we don't have anything to pick, and Deal with Obliteration doesn't have any option at all. It's going to be a normal enchant, right? I really think Stoneskin Gargle, which is currently 2-hand only, it should just be made to work on dual will as well. Like, it's such a simple change, and it presents a good viable option that isn't an enchant or a second Fallen Crusader, which has heavy diminishing returns. Still, you know, Breath might want to run Razorize still if they want to go into Shattering Blade, for instance. That talent has very good synergy with Razorize, so you can stack it up quickly on a target and blast those big frost strikes. I'm not sure. I just feel like there is an easy solution to this, and I don't understand why it hasn't been implemented. Finally, Horn of Winter. I just want to point this out because this talent is just incredibly bad. It's on the GCD and it gives us resources. We already don't need resources, and we for sure don't want to spend a GCD getting more of them. Obviously, you know, synergizes quite well with Breath and Goza, but overall, it's just not worth to press. And I think they need to remove it off the GCD or make it do something more interesting so that we can actually pick it and it having, you know, being situationally good. All right. Similar to Unholy, we also lack raid utility. We have AMZ, we have attack speed slow debuff, but those are really not going to make us mandatory in any setting. We can grip ads, and that's something that's going to be very useful in like a few fights. But if you compare to all other classes, we have DKs, we have Shamans, we have Hunters, don't really bring anything to the table. And I'm worried the Frost DK is just going to be benched unless we do a lot of damage, right? It's not like it's mandatory like a Warrior, Demon Hunter, Monk. There's so many classes now that a raid has to have. It means that the number of spots left for something like a DK is just not that many. I very much hope they add something that makes a raid pick us, right? Give us some raid leech buff or similar. Has been a thing in the past, right? Give that to us and it would be very useful to bring a DK. I just want them to do something so that we don't end up on the bench the entire next expansion. I know that's a bit harsh, but I think something needs to be done. Anyway, that's the state of the Frost DK on the alpha. I think overall positive, lots of choices, lots of fun gameplay, lots of interesting talent builds. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think about the Frost DK. Upvote, downvote, hit me up on the Across Discord if you have any questions, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.